We're going to ask the question, what the heck is the metaverse, with three very good friends of mine in various ways, business partners, raconteurs, just super interesting people. Jon Morris, Andrus Raudsalu, and Helen Lohmus. If you could join me on the stage. Helen and Andrus are two of the population of Estonia visiting us for this program. And Jon Morris is visiting us from yet another mythical land called Brooklyn. And I owe him a lot because when Ada and I moved the family to Ridgewood, New Jersey, we had a magical visitation, which was someone from Brooklyn actually made the trip to New Jersey to visit us. And we really appreciate that.
It was a teleporter. I don't know.
It was great. So Jon, Andrus, and Helen, if you could, welcome to the stage. If you could quickly give us a picture for what your current activity is with respect to the metaverse. Oh, before I let you do that, we're going to have this behind us. This is an ancient map of fairyland, which I just absolutely love. And you're going to see this moving back and forth above us during the conversation. So Jon, give us a sense for how you got involved with this metaverse thing, because 5 years ago you were not.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And if you asked me 5 years ago if I'd be creating a metaverse platform, I would laugh at you.
You would say, what the heck is the metaverse?
I'd be, what the heck is a metaverse? But the pandemic is a very strange thing for a live creator. I've been creating live experiences my whole life, from stuffed animal weddings for my neighbors when I was a kid, to Nine Inch Nails concert tours, for thousands around the world, to massive spectacles for AWS, Google, blah, 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 with a company called the Windmill Factory, which I created I was a performer at Cirque du Soleil and Forza Brute, and I was trying to bring that magic outside the walls.
By the way, what
theater.
were you doing at Cirque du Soleil? What performing were you doing?
I was a clown, acrobat.
That's not a surprise.
Hey,
great.
Once a clown, So here I am in the metaverse. But with the background in theater, you have this magic of this audience-performer relationship, and you have something special that transcends in the theater between the audience and the performer. And throughout my career, I was always trying to push that outside the walls of theater, beyond those walls, into unexpected places with the Windmill Factory and all these experiences that we were creating. Fast forward, the pandemic happens, dries up all of that live work.
Yeah, and a lot of your work, they were live events, they were concert tours, Lady Gaga, all this stuff, and all of a sudden it's all gone.
Yep.
All of it.
Yep.
So, and what'd you do? What's the first thing you did? Yeah, okay, after that.
After that, we had been looking for a way to scale our work globally and really try to figure out a way that we could create these collective experiences, which are often very immersive, and bring that to a global scale. And so we thought, what would we create if we were to create an experience platform that would allow creators like us to be able to create these beautiful things that really help people transcend and become, have these sublime experiences.
Yeah.
And so we said, well, what if we combine video chat, which directly connects us around the world, gaming, and the power and adventure of video game engine, and big social, which allows, all the things in technology. And so we fused those three things together and, basically have Zoom in Fortnite meets Twitter Spaces.
Called URNowhere.
Yeah, called Nowhere, or Now Here, and the website URNowhere.com.
Right. And we'll come back to that. It's very, very exciting. Full disclosure, I've invested in both of these companies, but this is not a sales pitch. This is not a sales pitch. All right, Helen, tell us about your journey to the metaverse.
For me, it was very easy because I'm a filmmaker by basically my day job, I guess. So let's call it like that. And telling stories is logical. This is how we discover worlds. This is how we broaden our mind. So when this metaverse, so to speak, started bubbling up, it was but we need to tell stories about it. Because all I saw was visions of empty houses, or somebody like Zaha Hadid. I love her, but her picture of the new world she created, it's empty. It has no soul.
It's
for
a piece
me,
of architecture
exactly
on a screen.
So for me, it was but what are the stories? I will use the word of Roy Sutherwood. It's a flower is just a weed. with advertising budget. So basically,
A flower is a weed with a what budget?
advertising
With
budget.
an advertising budget.
So, I mean,
Okay.
we yearn for stories to make sense of the world. And so for me, it was, logical way to go.
Great.
Just look for stories, new way of telling stories, and really finding new stories.
Yeah, so you create the stories and Jon creates the experiences of the stories. Okay, so Andrus, what the heck are you doing here?
Oh, actually, I have this tendency to jump on the new things without thinking about this very much at the beginning. So,
Great, all right. So,
Typical Estonian.
when this metaverse started happening, I thought that, perhaps this is a thing to be in somehow. Of course, we have evolved in our notion that what we are doing, and
yeah.
then,
But I want you to go back, Andrus,
Yeah.
because you actually have a long and storied career in the media sector writ large, the broad media sector. I think one of the largest media companies in Europe, based in Estonia, Postumis,
Yes.
that you led. And you were in traditional media, new media, digital, the whole thing. And so you're running this massive operation, and then you see this metaverse thing and say, oh, that looks interesting. So how did that transition happen?
very easily.
Yeah.
You just, snap and you go.
That was
Because
it. You snap and go.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think as and this is I will be coming back to this. I think as a species we have this inherent kind of like necessity to evolve.
A necessity to evolve.
Yeah, the evolution is hardwired into us, right?
Evolution has wired-
Otherwise we'd still
Wait.
be monkeys.
Evolution has wired evolution into us.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, good. Keep going. Sorry, I thought it was very nice.
And then I saw this as a new opportunity, and why this, and then my brain has been working on this, why this is important, and as I am, I first jumped into this, and then thought that am I creating something meaningful here?
Right.
And so and now I came to the conclusion that yes, the metaverse is important, and I think the most important part about the metaverse, which nobody, by the way, is talking about, is that it is an infinite space. We have always, throughout the history, been restricted by the space. So, and this is infinite space. You can imagine, infinite beachfront, whatever. We as a species, because we have this growth hardwired into us, so we are also living it out in the consumption. So we are building new things, we are building bigger things, we are destroying the planet. So eventually what can happen, and this is the conclusion that I came to, is we can start polluting and consuming in metaverse, and we can and then we can declare the whole planet as a national park and start restoring it.
An Estonian national park?
Yes.
Yeah, because Estonia
We are in a cloud.
Here.
Yeah.
We're in a cloud already.
Andrus, I've had some similar thoughts. I mean, when we get more and more, we're not talking about next year. But
Of course.
10 years, 20 years, 30 years. That 30 years is a long, hi Shakut. 30 years is a long time. As we get more and more of our lived experiences, our stories, our experiences in the metaverse, as long as we figure out the energy issue, we have to figure out the energy issue, but eventually that'll be free. More and more of those experiences can happen in an absolutely sustainable way, because we'll be messing things up less and less on the actual planet. Right?
Yes,
It's a really,
exactly.
really compelling vision of the future. So let's come back to right now. In addition to Andrus's lofty comment, why does metaverse, which we don't even know really what it is yet, why does it matter? Jon or Helen, any thoughts? Why does this movement of metaverse today, whatever it is, matter?
I think in that sense, like, I don't know how to answer that, but it's coming. I like, in that sense, like, why does it matter? Again, people want to connect, And I think Metaverse will allow us to have communities, global communities, in a different way that we've ever had the possibility to have. Because like we have global governance, but they, how to say it nicely, they really haven't worked out for us.
Yeah.
So now I see that we have a possibility to come together in a different way. And again, like not tomorrow, not in a year, but it will give us connectivity that we're missing. And our world is changing. I was at the dinner yesterday talking also, we're changing from kinship-based society to a friendship-based society. So
yes.
We're not local anymore. We're moving anyway to our individualism in that sense that we connect because, I don't know, we like Pink Floyd or we like the poppy seed flower everywhere. So we connect on crazy ideas or a token. So, and we form a community through that and we find something in it. So now we can do it globally, much more freer.
Which people who aren't engaged in this space at all don't realize a lot of those crazy numbers for buying NFTs, which by the way are crazy numbers, has to do with being a member of the club.
Exactly.
It has less to do with I'm going to actually own that thing, but it's like I want to show that I'm a Bored Ape Club member. Are you? Right? I mean, it's about that desire to have your tribe, right?
Yeah. It's
John,
us versus them.
Yeah.
And I think the why was actually answered by Howard this morning.
Which is what?
Howard said, hey, how can I build my community beyond this space? This is a gorgeous Frank Gehry building. Right now, you can build this space in Nowhere, and you can build your community there.
Okay, no
and you
pitches,
can,
no open, no.
And this is actually not a pitch. This is actually happening in Nowhere,
Yes,
and artists are creating their own spaces.
Yeah.
They're expanding their communities to global communities,
Yeah.
and they're actually able to drop in and be present live in video with an audience like this, hear them in spatial audio so they hear where the laughter is.
Explain what spatial audio is.
So spatial audio is essentially when you're in a 3D environment on the browser, you hear what's closest to you, just like in real life. So, we can have this conversation here if we weren't mic'd, and then we can cruise over there. You guys have your conversation. So you can move between conversations, you can mingle between activities, and you can transfer between these different types of worlds, activities, and I think that's what's happening right now in these platforms. And there's a lot of emergent platforms that are, and a lot of live experience creators that are bringing a wealth of knowledge to the space and starting to create tools that feel good for these type of experiences, both from, conferences, CoinDesk hosted all their networking for Consensus. Cash Money Records do all their new artist launches. Twitch streamers are now streaming into Nowhere because they can be live with their fans. And I think across a lot of metaverse platforms, there's a lot of hope and there's big dreams of where this can go in 10 years.
Well, let's go there to each of you. Where are we in 10 years? And this is on record, by the way. Where are we in 10 years?
We're held to this.
Where are we in 10 years?
I'm a big believer in this brain-computer interfaces.
Yes.
Because this notion that we are gonna, having these weird things on our heads, and then we are, jumping around like cartoon characters without the legs.
Yeah.
It's like, we are in the beginning of the Middle Ages,
Yes.
Enlightenment
We're
hasn't
still
happened
doing,
yet.
we're still doing
Renaissance hasn't
bloodletting.
happened.
We're like doing bloodletting.
Yeah, and I think those brain-computer interfaces, they will bring the Renaissance.
Yes.
Because this is completely something transcending in a sense that you are going to be enhanced. Also, your feelings are going to be enhanced. And that, actually, I think it was already 10, 15 years ago. A researcher in UK, his name is Kevin Warwick. He installed a coil on his wrist, so he could record his nerve cells firing.
Yeah.
And he had one installed in his wife as well. And so he went to the States.
Was that a tracker?
He was on the top. He was on the top of the Empire State Building, and he was looking down, and he was able to transfer this fear of heights to his wife in UK.
She could experience it?
And this was some stupid coil in your breast. And then if you imagine what this brain interface can actually do, so you will have completely enhanced experiences because you are going to be able to transfer your feelings to another person. And this is something that we are not even imagining.
By the way, I want to quickly foreshadow tomorrow, the opening of tomorrow. We have an extraordinary artist from India, Raghava KK, who will be with us virtually. He's been with us before in person. And you'll see tomorrow he's going to share something he calls the Orgasm Project. And yes, he's being provocative. He has a big marketing budget. But it's really quite a profound project. I won't say more than to say he's recording the brainwaves of himself and others in various activities, in various experiences, including orgasms, or him painting or creating or whatever. And then the AI system is learning those and then starting to create art based on that experience. So he's representing it visually in order to say this is coming. But what he's really stating is exactly what Andrus just said, which is in the not too distant future, we'll be able to codify experiences and provide them through brain-computer interface. That means an interface directly with your brain. You don't have to type, you don't have to just gesture, you don't have to talk. The brain is communicating directly with a computational system or with another brain at some point. We will have telekinesis, telepathy. We will have these things later this century, and this is not science fiction. They're already working on some of this stuff at DARPA. But we'll hear from Dr. Ling tomorrow. I'm getting a thumbs up from the Colonel. Good.
And then,
so what about more? 10 years, 10 years, come on.
For me, it's like exciting to see like how we can talk about like even past stories as well. Like now you read in a book,
Yeah.
but how if you go and experience it?
Experience the story.
Experience
from a
the
book.
story. Like how different would be learning experience for like, because schools haven't changed in a bigger scheme of things in a long while, too long of a while.
Yeah.
But I think the possibilities that we have through metaverses, it would be, again, it's a jump.
So I dare say the skills you want your kids to have, they need to understand the computational systems and how they work. But it's really the storytelling and the experience creating and communicating emotions and all these things. John, 10 years from now.
We'll move beyond, what we now know as user-generated content to player-generated experience.
Player-generated experience. You heard it here.
And presence will be larger than place. It will no
Say that
longer.
again.
Presence will be larger than place. We will no longer be confined by place. To Andrus's point, it will be infinite space. And we'll no longer be looking at a scroll of fairyland. We will be able to go like, oh, hey, Andrus, meet me in fairyland. Let's go check it out and feel what the residents of fairyland would be feeling. And think about that for access. I grew up in a small town in Kentucky, and how many of you guys live in cities? Most probably, I would imagine, live in cities. And this is going to give access to so many people to the types of experience that are able to transform their lives, to open up new passageways, new doorways, not only by meeting people in these places, but by having the experiences, the feelings, the emotions of actually being, in Florence,
Right, right.
And that I think is going to be extraordinarily transformative across all of humanity. Talk about speeding up transcendence, speeding up technology and evolution. The way that cities speed up your thought process when you visit them or
Cities speed up your thought process. What do you mean by that?
I mean, when you're concentrated with a lot of different types of humans, you're seeing so much diversity, you're having so many different types of conversations, you're seeing and witnessing so much, speed. Thinking of New York in particular for me that's why I'm so attracted to it, because you're encountering so many different types of experiences all the time, which is expanding your brain. It's expanding your thought process.
It can also be exhausting though.
Oh yeah.
And attention sucking, and we only have so much attention.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, then you just visit the forest.
Any concerns about this whole metaverse thing in the remaining 1.5 minutes?
I think one of the concerns, of course, is that we are losing completely our touch with the physical reality. But and then I'm not even I don't know whether it's a good or bad thing.
Yeah.
Perhaps removing humans from the planet to the infinite space of metaverse is even good for the planet.
It could very well.
So but this, I think this could happen, but we see it happening somehow already now. Look at our kids. They've most of their time, they're not looking at the reality, they're looking on the reality through the screen.
Yeah.
So, I think it's inevitable.
Yeah.
And perhaps it's not that bad for the planet in the end.
Well, we're coming down to the end, but I'd say that it does feel discomforting to believe that maybe we're losing our touch with this physical reality. And that's understandable. We've been in the midst of it for 200,000 years. So in addition to evolving the urge to evolve, we've evolved within a given context. I feel like right now we're at the age of adolescence of humanity. And the reason is, when you're a child, hoping that you have a family that takes care of you, cares for you, and all that. When you're a child, your context is given to you. Your everything is given to you, and you do what you can to make of it. And as you become an adolescent, you're rebelling, you're trying to find your boundaries, but you're still within a confine. But when you extend beyond adolescence into college or adult life or whatever it is, now all the training wheels are off, and where do you go? You don't have a syllabus anymore. You can go anywhere, do anything, be anything. And I think humanity is trending in that direction. We are nearing the end of adolescence, to the point where now we need to design our lived experiences. Boy, oh boy, it's coming. Why does it matter? You said, I don't know, it's coming. Well, Helen, that's one of the reasons it matters, right? It's coming. Player-generated experiences are coming. And by the way, you're the players. All of us are the players. In infinite, undefined spaces. Is there anything more inspiring and yet terrifying at the same time than that? And finally, I think, reflect on the last couple of years. Some of my very best friends live all around the world, and the technology capabilities we have given us the opportunity to define our human spaces much more broadly and diversely than before. There's a sociological concept called propinquity that shows, lots of research, that most of your relationships, associations, beliefs, political agenda, etc., are defined by those human beings who are most close to you in space, in physical space. That might be starting to break down. Thank you very much, Jon, Helen, and Andrus. That's great. Good to see you.